Hello, fellow punters. You're very welcome to the weekly Bookie Basher show, where I will be joined shortly by the Stig to see what tickled his fancy in a very curtailed week of racing for the punters. I'm sure, though, he'll have something picked out. I will also be giving you a few selections for tomorrow's Racing Friday, and hopefully we may get something from the Stig at the end. Nap next best, and depending if the racing goes ahead on Sunday. Um, as I said, there wasn't much racing since Friday, and hopefully it may be back on Sunday again. Recording this at 5 to 2 on Thursday. I will show you my highlight of the week first. It was Attica, a 4-year-old in Cheltenham in the first race last Friday.
Taka now ridden along. Here's Master Chewy. He's only now a neck behind in second place. Behind those Kiki Badger on the left, the green cap moving through to take third position from Time for a Tune, and then
from a 4-year-old. The race had previously been won in 2019 by a Nicky Henderson trained horse, Chantry House, who went on, but that was a 5-year-old, but it went on the following March to be third to Shishkin in the Supreme novice, albeit I think it was 10 lengths third. And that Chantry House ran in a race in February in Newbury. So it'd be interesting to see where he routes this after the Christmas. I want to get that horse on the bus. I think that's going to be beneficial to us in the future. I'd like to ask the Stig now what tickled his fancy in the past week.
There wasn't much racing over the past week, and therefore there wasn't many horses that tickled my fancy. One meeting, I suppose, that stood out across the week, nearly probably the only meeting over National Hunt, was Cork on Sunday. And there was a few horses in here that looked like they could be a small bit above average and maybe horses to follow for the rest of the season with an eye to where they might go in Leopardstown and, of course, on towards Cheltenham in March. So the first horse really that tickled my fancy, I suppose, that was a bit above average, was in the 3-year-old maiden hurdle, who was a horse called Blood Destiny for Willie Mullins. Now, this horse went off short enough at 4 to 5, but if you listen to Willie Mullins' interview afterwards, this horse actually hadn't been showing him much at home, and he didn't really know what to expect on the track. And Willie Mullins wasn't sure what was going to come of him, but he really looked good, I thought, from the front. He picked it up, he was a bit keen, and I love the way he attacked his hurdles. I love when a horse pricks his ears and just attacks his hurdles and looked real natural over the obstacles. The next horse that tickled my fancy on the card was in the Stayers Novice Hurdle, the Grade 3, Hidden Valley Lake for Henry de Bromhead. Now, this horse looked like he might be in a small bit of trouble turning in, but this race kind of turned into a bit of a sprint as well. So I'd say 3 miles would be his distance, but if he was to step back and trip as well, it wouldn't be a surprise. But he really powered clear to win by 8 lengths in the end, which was a convincing enough win, and his jumping in the last 2 hurdles were nice and low as well, which is what I'd like to see. Beating Cool Survivor as well, who's a horse we backed on the bus before. And finally, the last horse that would tickle my fancy from the week that was gone by was Impervious for Colin Murphy, beating Dino Blue by 3 lengths. So this horse looked to be in trouble turning in. Dino Blue hadn't really pressed any buttons yet, but Impervious really won a bit snugly on the line, to be honest. The further it went, the better it got as well. So I'd say 2 miles would be her minimum. Obviously, I'd say stepping up to looking at the mare's distance of 2 mile 4 would be more her bag going forward. But I was really impressed with her, and she's definitely put a stamp on the mare's chase division at the moment. I know Allegory Devassi is yet to come out, but going on what we've seen so far this year, she is the leading contender in my eyes until we see Allegory Devassi come out and see how she takes to her fences.
Thanks very much for that, Stig, and I'll be back to you again shortly. I'll give you a selection for tomorrow. It was hard enough to find anything, but I came down on 3 sort of each way selections. The first one here is at the 4:55 at Southwell. It's a horse called Minhaaj for Brian Ellison, who's going fairly well. in the past 21 days on the flat, he has had 13 runners, 3 winners and 2 places. That's 23%. And over the jumps, 15 runners, 3 winners and 5 places. So they are going all right. But this is only a 5-year-old. Started off its career with Willie Haggis and won in 2019. As you can see, it was rated in the 80s, in the 70s, in the 60s. Then it changed from Atwater to Brian Ellison. But it has never ran 7 furlongs. But the colours are red and yellow. Keep an eye on this, and I think it's crying out for a step up to 7 furlongs.
And Oriental Lily is the back marker as they work their way through the halfway stage. Heading back towards the top of the home run, away to the right, Bernard Spearpoint still has the lead with Tahonta in there pitching in the centre. Now to the extreme right, Memo is trying to come through a gap up the inside. Muatadal next in the field. Bear Cardi tries to get rolling. Still in there pitching is Kamaches, who's also coming from off the gallop. Heading to the final furlong, it's Tahonta, who's hit the front. To the outside though, Kamaches is still picking up. In behind them is Memo. Oriental Lily is next in the field. It's Kamaches from right off the gallop. Now sweeping on past, and Kamaches gets up to win. Beats Tahonta in second, Memo back in third. They were followed in by Muatadal, Oriental.
He finished 7th in that, and previously to something similar with the same jockey, Simon Walker. But it's a 15-2 shot there in 15-2 shot. They're paying 4 places, a pint each way. I just think that it in all the running it has done, it has never ran beyond 6. So let's hope that a step up and trip may suit tomorrow. I'd like to ask the Stig at this point, has he any horse or horses notebooked in the past week? I see one that he mentioned a couple of weeks ago has been gambled on from Panda Boy. It opened up at 25-1. It's now at 7s with the Green Bookie for the Green Bookie chase at Christmas, and it's 9s with Boyle Sports. Have you any other one like that we might keep an eye on for the future?
Yeah, I see Panda Boy's been absolutely smashed up in the market for that chase in Leopardstown over Christmas, and that was the target that I had initially put on him, seeing as that was the meeting last year. He hosed up in that handicap hurdle, and I had an idea that Connections might have an eye on that to the future. And the price has been absolutely hammered, 25s into 7s. I'd expect he might drift back out on the day, out to backable maybe 12s, 14s, hopefully. But 2 horses that have entered my tracker this week and that caught my eye, I suppose, as ones for the future, was one horse called Codahorla for Colin Murphy. He's a gelding out of Flemingford, owned by JP McManus, ran in the 12:45 in Cork behind Arctic Brazil in that maiden hurdle. This horse looked like he wasn't being given too much to do by the jockey. He was given quite an easy ride, I suppose, and there's definitely going to be a race in him going forward. He has his 3 maidens done now, so he's going to get a handicap mark, and we'll see what way the handicapper evaluates him and what he gives him. But there's definitely a race in this horse in the future. And the other horse that went into my tracker this week was a horse called Senecia, and the trainer is Vincent Lauren Halley. Now, this is a trainer that wouldn't have many horses, so a horse like this could easily slip under the radar in a market full of maybe Willie Mullins horses, Gordon Elliott horses in a handicap. This horse won its maiden in Wexford by 8.5 lengths, and also ran in a maiden where he was 5th behind the horse that I put up as one that caught my eye this week, was Hidden Valley Lake. So he came 5th behind him on another day. I think this horse is quite a useful animal. If you watch the race back, he wasn't really entertaining the race at all for the first 2.5 miles. He set off the 4 in front and literally finished like a train on the way home. So I'd say with an eye to handicap now, this horse will definitely go close. You can get a price on him as well because of who the trainer is and not being from one of the big yards. So those are the 2 horses for the tracker this week.
Thanks for that, Stig. And now I have another question. With Christmas around the corner, have you any plans on going racing, or how does a person enjoy the Christmas in the land of the Stig?
Yeah, I'll definitely be going around over Christmas to the big meetings such as Leopardstown and Limerick. There'll be different horses there on different days that I'll want to go and see, so I'll just wait for the final declarations there as to see where I'm going to go for the Christmas period. But I love going to the races, nothing beats it. I like watching the telly, but I much prefer being there in the flesh and seeing the horses up close in the ring, and also just seeing how they perform throughout the race. I think when you watch it on telly, like often tracks like even Fairy House the last day, you'll see tracks that have different undulations, so when they're going up and when they're going down. And again, you can't see those things on television, so you might look at it on TV and it might look desperate flat, whereas in person you can see the pull, like Galway, Cheltenham, all these places. You really see the stiff test like Navan as well that you don't see on television, so you learn an awful lot about a horse, how they hit the line, and nothing beats being there in person to see them. So I'll definitely be going to as many race meetings over Christmas as I possibly can.
Thurles may go ahead on Sunday. There's a listed Mayor's Novice Hurl there. Have you had time to have a look at the entries yet? There's one at the top that you mentioned a couple of times, and we won on last time. And there's another one of down the line as well.
So fingers crossed, Mickey, the racing goes ahead the weekend, and that is a really good listed mares contest that we have. So two horses that we've mentioned quite a bit on the show before was the Model Kingdom for Noel Meade, and the other one being Harmonia Maker for Gordon Elliott. Now, the Model Kingdom was really impressive in Punchestown, beating Emmett Mullen's horse Halibut by 4 1/4. Travelled through the race and looked like she had the race covered really. Turning in, she looked the winner a long way out. Harmonia Maker then went on to win by 18 lengths, beating Law Ella. I think she'd be suited by the longer distance of that race that she won in, which was 2 mile 3.5. Stepping back to 2 miles mightn't be the best for her, I think. And also thrown in there is Deeply Superficial of Gordon Elliott's. Now, I know I was there in Galway when she won, and Davy Russell really liked this horse, and even in the ring it looked like she'd come on. She looked like she was carrying a small bit on the day, and Davy Russell said after as well she'll definitely come on a good bit for that run. But going on form lines, Harmonia Maker beat Law Ella by 18 lengths, and Deeply Superficial beat Law Ella by 3 1/4. So again, looking at form lines, you'd think Harmonia Maker will be the better there, but that was over 2 miles 3 as I mentioned before. So on the shorter side of the trip, so just 2 miles, I would probably give a slight nudge for the Model Kingdom, but over a longer distance and softer ground, it would be Harmonia Maker for me.
Cheers for that. Now, the second horse that I picked out, somebody put in a comment there yesterday, Princess Wannabe. Somebody said, why didn't I tip it up? Well, the reason I didn't tip it up was because it was a reserve, and I knew it was entered for tomorrow, so I was hoping it should be declared, and it is declared. I think there's a race in this. I have no prices up yet on the probable SP, but sometimes it can be a decent guide. It's 4 to 1 favourite. It's drawn wide. It's the only problem, but it was drawn low the last time and it started from the back. Wayne Lorden for Fozzie Stack. Fozzie hasn't had a winner in Dundalk in the last 12 months, so hopefully he can rectify that. We have 2 bus horses out tomorrow night. Both of them won claimers for us. Bale Hop, or Halle Bop, and Bookie Larson. Both were trained at the time by Gerald Lyons, and both were claimed, and they were both claimed by Dick Donoghue up in Cavan, and for the same owner. But they're in handicaps tomorrow night, so it's hard to gauge. I have no prices or anything. Now, they're in decent enough races. The 7 o'clock is a competitive race. You have, I think there's betting up for that. Yeah, Venusina. That won first time out for Henry de Bromhead up there, and it ran over the course when it was down the field a little, when Freescape was second in a listed race a few months ago. But Freescape was only given it, I think, £7 then, and it's getting a lot of weight now. So that'll bring the gap in significantly. Freescape would like the trip more so than the mile it ran the last twice. Venusina, out of Adamus, I'll prefer them at a mile or 9 furlongs more so than this 10.5. But you can see Halle Bop there. It's hard to know what to expect. The other one is Bookie Larson. Bookie Larson is in the 6:30. It's an apprentice rated race, but they're running pretty good to their handicap marks. Come back here. Where are you gone? He's tipped up there with somebody. But I said that would have a better chance, but you don't know how fit they are. But watch the betting, because he had a winner there in Cheltenham recently, and that contra Pasto, that's running tomorrow night as well. He has 3 of them there tomorrow night. He could be looking for the Christmas money, so keep an eye on for the money. The other horse that I had a look at was Maysonic. It ran last time out in Chelmsford, but it was coming back from a break, and it seemed to just get tired in the latter end. Shallow Hell, but it has won 3 times at the track, and as you can see, it was rated on the 100th a few times, but it won in Kempton off 84, and it won off it won its maiden win, actually, was there as well. Might be an each way bet tomorrow night. I think it's 11-2 there. And finally, will he be available over the Christmas to give a nap and next best for the 4 days of the race and for the passengers on the bus? And if racing goes ahead on Sunday, we might put up or get you to put up your in the description. I'll get them off you. Because we don't know there's no point putting up a nap and next best and each way in this video now, because we don't know what's going on. But if it did go ahead on Sunday, maybe we might get you to do that for us then, unless you have a handle on something as of now.
So just at the present moment in time, it's not worth putting the time into going through form, going through fields, trying to pick winners, because we just don't know if the cards are going to go ahead. But if the cards are down to run the weekend, I'll definitely get back to doing my studying and hopefully picking out a few winners for the listeners. So if anything pops up, I will definitely be forward them onto you, and you can put them in the description of your video for the weekend.
Thanks for that, Stig. If Bridget King didn't get a run for her money at all last weekend, so we'll leave her up again this weekend for doing the thing. And we'll add the other woman chef, Rachel Duncan. We'll put the 2 of them on the 1 ticket and we'll see how they go. We have a couple running today, so hopefully they might do all right for us. I don't know what the racing is like for the weekend. I know there's nothing on Saturday. Hopefully Thurles might go ahead on Sunday. There is a good meeting down for Navan, but it's unraceable as of now unless the weather develops better for us. Anyway, that's us for this week. Christmas plans are going okay. I was in Super Value in Roscommon with the owner, who's a great racing man, Shane Fleming. He's on the committee in the racecourse in Roscommon, and whatever food, I'm going to get them off him, and I'm going to get probably chicken curry and beef stroganoff in a container that football teams would be feeding. I have a line on that with a fella. He's actually involved in annexation, who's running in Dundalk tomorrow night. So until next week, from myself, Mickey D, and from the Stig, over and out. Bash the bookies.